So you've done it. You built this beautiful website, you've got great content, you hit launch, and then you search for it on Google and crickets. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real reasons so many websites fail to rank, and I'm willing to bet it's not what you think.
It is such a common frustration, right? You pour all this time, all this money into your site, and it just feels like it's completely invisible on the one search engine that really matters. You're doing everything you're supposed to, so what's going on?
You know, a lot of us think the solution has to be more complex. We need more plugins, some fancy new tool, some secret technical trick. But the truth is, the answer is way more fundamental. For so many sites, the problem isn't what's there, it's how fast it gets there. It really is all about speed.
To really get our heads around this, we need to basically play doctor. We're going to diagnose the problem by looking at the anatomy of a slow website, using a real-world example. This is going to make it crystal clear what Google sees and why it cares so much.
Okay, so take a look at this. It's a brand new website for a photographer. It looks fantastic. You'd think it has all the right stuff to start climbing the search rankings, but hiding just under the surface, there's one critical flaw that's holding the whole thing back.
So, what's this number 36? Well, that is the mobile performance score given directly by Google. And let me tell you, a 36 out of 100 is a massive red flag. It's basically telling Google that this site gives a really poor experience to anyone on a phone, and that alone can be enough to sink it from day one.
And here is the culprit for that terrible score. The main hero image, the very first thing you're supposed to see, takes a shocking 10 seconds to fully appear. And why? Because the site is just bloated with a ton of unnecessary JavaScript that has to load before you can even see the picture. In our world, 10 seconds isn't just slow, it's an eternity.
And look, this isn't just a problem for one website. This is a huge trend. Just look at how much the average web page has ballooned over the years. Back in 2012, it was pretty lean. Today, the average page is nearly 4 times heavier. Websites are just getting bigger and more bloated every single year, and that means they're getting slower. So, we know sites are slow, but so what? What does that actually mean in the real world? Well, this is where a technical problem has a very real, very human cost. We're about to see how every single millisecond of delay directly impacts how people behave and, of course, your bottom line. Now, this is just fascinating. Studies show that a delay of just 500 milliseconds, that's literally half a second, can spike a user's frustration by over 26%. But it gets even crazier. When a site feels slow, people's emotional engagement actually drops. They don't just get annoyed, they literally start to care less. And that frustration, it leads to people leaving. Fast. According to Google's own data, 53% of mobile users will just give up and abandon a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. Think about that. That's more than half of your potential audience just gone before they even see what you're about.
Now, for the people who do manage to stick around, the financial impact is still staggering. A tiny 1-second delay in your load time can cause your conversions to drop by as much as 20%. Let that sink in. 1 second could mean that 1 out of every 5 potential customers just decides to go somewhere else. Speed isn't just a nice-to-have, it's revenue.
This quote just nails the whole problem perfectly. On a deep subconscious level, our brains are wired to see any kind of delay as a barrier. It's friction. And that friction doesn't just annoy people, it totally kills any chance of engagement with your brand.
Okay, so enough of the doom and gloom. We've diagnosed the problem, we've seen the consequences. Now for the good part, the solution. And the great news is, fixing this doesn't mean you have to reinvent the wheel. It's all about going back to basics and winning with the fundamentals of SEO.
You know, even though Google's algorithm has hundreds of factors, SEO success really boils down to 3 main pillars. First, you've got to have quality content that actually helps people. Second, you need backlinks from other credible sites. Those are like votes of confidence. And third, the one we're diving into is technical SEO.
And here's the crucial part. A fast, well-built site is the foundation for everything else. It's what allows your amazing content and all those backlinks you worked for to actually do their job. Without a solid technical foundation, the other 2 pillars just crumble.
So that brings us to the practical solution. How do we actually build a website that has that strong technical foundation from the very beginning? How do we engineer it for performance and for visibility from the ground up?
While the answer lies in an approach that's all about simplicity and efficiency, the static HTML site. Instead of relying on heavy databases and complicated plugins, a static site is basically made of simple, lightweight files. They're pre-built and ready to go, which means they get delivered to a user's browser at lightning speed.
And the advantages here are just huge. You get that extreme speed we've been talking about. The simple code makes it incredibly easy for Google to understand what your site is about. And on top of all that, these sites are way more secure, there's less stuff that can break, and you get total control over every single SEO element.
Let's just put it side by side. On one hand, you've got your typical website built on a CMS like WordPress or Squarespace. They're often slow because of all the extra code, the plugins, the databases. They're just more complicated for search engines. On the other hand, you have a lightweight HTML site that is built for one job, to be incredibly fast, super simple to crawl, and to give you complete control.
And ultimately, this whole conversation comes back to this one powerful idea. Your website's speed, it isn't just a number on a report. It shapes how people feel about your brand from the very first second they interact with you. Performance is the experience.
So, the final question I'll leave you with is this. Is your website a powerful asset that's actually driving your business forward? Or is it a slow, heavy anchor that's holding you back? Because in today's world, the difference between those two things is measured in milliseconds.